Awesome. Well,
I
dude, I
think
think
we hit, yeah, dude, we have 400 members. Unreal. Officially 400 members in the Facebook group.
Vibe of the tribe, my dude. Let's go.
Huge. Hey, you guys, we just finished Ask Alex number 39. And this week we were reviewing deals, and deals are what make this business go round. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways from today, man?
Oh, man, that was a fantastic webinar, Will. We showed the tribe how to review deals. It's one of my favorite things we do every month. We covered a deal we were about to buy. We covered a deal we barely missed on. We covered a deal that we kind of passed on. So check out the webinar so you guys get better making offers and reviewing deals. Let's go. What's up? What's up, my deal makers? Aloha from Maui. Let's see what we got going on today. How's everybody doing? Everybody putting in some offers, making some money? My man, Will.
What's up, Mr. Camacho? How we doing, man?
How's my video audio?
Everything's sounding good, man. We can hear you. We can see you. Looking good. How's Maui?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's 80 degrees, perfect weather, as always. I did sprain my ankle though, so kind of been limping around the last 4 days, but it's still Maui.
Still Maui, so it's hard to complain. I know, definitely living the life out there. So as always, it's good to see people kind of trickling in here. We'll give everybody a minute or two to trickle in before we kind of get things started. But today, I'm obviously pretty excited, Alex. We're going to be reviewing some deals, and this is one of the funner webinars for me, because we actually get to kind of dive in and watch you kind of attack a deal and go through what you would look at, what the big sticking points are, and things like that. So today should be a fun webinar. And as always, guys, please do use the chat. Just let us know, where you're chiming in from, where we can catch up with you. If you're on Instagram, if you're on, Facebook, obviously you can join the Facebook group, but just let us know in the chat what your name is, what market you're investing in, and where we can connect with you outside of here. And in the meantime, Alex, kind of give us a little rundown. Like, obviously, I know you said you're in Maui and, you sprained your ankle, so you're kind of getting through that, but what else has been kind of going on for you, and what's kind of coming up?
Yeah, so it's been an exciting week. It has been challenging, but this past weekend, I did a staycation, which was pretty cool. A friend of mine had these discounts on the Westin, which is up there in West Maui. So Maui is pretty magical already to begin with, but to go out there and hang out at a resort for like next to nothing, it was only like a couple $100 on something that would normally be probably like $1,000. So that was cool. Even though I had a bum ankle, still going to a nice resort in Maui, it balanced out. So that was cool. And we've been working a lot on the property here. I mean, the main reason I came back is because we want to get this rehab to the finish line. And we've been having some challenges with the contractor, shocker. And we had to replace that contractor with another one. So that's been kind of an ongoing challenge, but it's getting there. We're about 95% done with the rehab. And then also, we are getting close to closing on another property in the Great 18, as I like to say, the 818 in the San Fernando Valley, my hometown. My hometown is Reseda, but we're picking up a new flip in Winnetka, which is like an adjacent city. So I'm super happy about that. We'll be closing on Friday or on Monday, Tuesday. And then I'm going to LA, going back to Cali on Friday night for the weekend. See my parents, see my family, have dinner with you guys. We might do a meetup, I don't know, but it's not gonna be a long trip. And then I'm going down to Guadalajara, going down to Mexico. I've decided to, I might have talked about it. I decided to get a place down there, a second home. I'm leasing it, but it's an absolutely incredible building, penthouse. And it's literally like $1,200 for like a penthouse apartment in one of the best areas of town. So I'm gonna go get that furnished and kind of meet with some of our virtual assistants down there, and then just have a good time. And then after that, we're going, stay tuned to the end of this webinar, because we have a couple of things to announce at the end of this webinar, you guys.
And yeah, Alex, I think it's definitely a big, busy week for you, obviously, and heading down to Guadalajara, but we will keep everybody posted while Alex is in town if we're able to get a meetup set up. Alex, this week we're reviewing deals. So before we do start pulling up some deals, just want to kind of get a quick overview from you. Like, you've gotten to the point now in the business where, you've seen and reviewed hundreds of deals. What are some of the, quick fire, 3 things that you would just want to tell people to keep their eye out for when they're looking at deals as we pull up our first of 3 deals here that we're going to dive into today?
Well, first is knowing that analyzing deals is a skill, and to be very purposeful about them. Like, hey, I want to develop the skill of analyzing deals so that way I can become a better investor. It's not because you're just analyzing deals to make money. You're analyzing deals so then you can understand the investments you're about to potentially make by the offers you're going to make. So I think that's a number 1, understanding why it's so important of a skill in what we do. I say number 2 right behind that is to understand the reps that you're going to need to do, because analyzing 10 deals is not the same thing as 100 deals or 1,000 deals. I've analyzed, in my estimates, over 1,000 deals. Over, give or take, 1,000 deals a year ever since I started. Now that might vary. One year might be 700-800 deals. The other deal might be, maybe 500 or more than 1,000. But it's been a lot of reps, and that's why I understand a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of different values, how to look at it. And then see what else. Yeah, just it's the lifeblood of taking action, because the more deals you look at, the better ones you see, the more offers you make, the more deals you're likely to get. So I think that's just a couple of quick thoughts about it. But
100%, right? It goes from, go ahead.
I'm excited because this is what a lot of people don't see. Like all the grunt work, we're like in the back, oh, okay, that deal don't work, or works at that number, or hey, we submit the offer and then they want us to come up to a certain number and that doesn't work, and then we have to stick to our numbers. And so it's just like back and forth deal flow with analyzing deals, making offers, then reanalyzing that same deal, and then missing that deal, and then maybe tracking that deal and say, hey, did we make a mistake and not maybe offering more on that deal? Or was that person just, maybe they had cheaper money and they were willing to take less profit? So there's a lot of things that go into it. That's why I love these deal review webinars, because we can show you guys deals that we're buying, deals that we missed out, deals that we got close on, and you guys can learn from all that.
And the point I wanted to make is that it's not an argument, but it's like we go to battle over these deals, right? And it's like, hey, why are we going to take this deal, or why aren't we going to take this deal? And it's prove it one way or the other, right? And so I really like this because, again, like you said, deals are the lifeblood of offers, and offers are the lifeblood of deals and taking down deals. So they're one and the same, and you have to review multiple amounts of deals before you're going to be able to submit confidently enough offers to take down some projects. So Alex, let's go ahead and see the first deal that we're going to look at today. And this is one, that we, we're going to be excited to talk about, obviously, because it's one that you're going to be closing on here in the next week or so. So let's go ahead and talk about the Winnetka property here real quick.
Yeah, so I'm going to log into MLS because I want to pull the comps on the property. Cool. And so let me do that first. So I'm kind of just talking in the background, but got this deal from a wholesaler in LA, somebody that I've known for a while. We got it pretty close on a couple. It is a personal relationship, so it wasn't just like a random wholesale deal, but other deals that we worked with this individual just didn't work out for one reason or another. One, we were actually in escrow in, but then we couldn't get clear title because the seller had a whole bunch of IRS tax liens. And so we ended up having to back out of that deal, and it was a juicy deal also in the Valley. And then so when he gave me this deal, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, we usually don't like buying property over, say, like 450,000 or so in LA, for a single family house. That's kind of like, we don't, because we operate a lot of times under the medium home price of 600,000 in LA. So we really want to buy stuff at 400. But this one was advertised at 575. But it was a 1,600 square foot house, nice generous lot, great area of the San Fernando Valley that I know very well. I looked at the comps, I'm like, damn, this thing can sell for probably about 800,000. And then, so anyways, let's bring up the deal. I want to bring up the numbers, kind of go from there.
And I just want to point out what you said right there, Alex, because again, that comes from all the thousands of reps that you've done, right? When you see a number in a neighborhood, you're able to quickly identify, hey, this is a deal that I might want to take a second glance at because, it already sounds like it could work based off the numbers.
Correct. So this was, once we ran the numbers, this is really what we saw kind of as the potential for the property. Actually, we kind of modified our scope of work on it because there has been some upgrades after we ran these numbers. So this is actually closer to 60. So I'm sorry. Hey, can you guys see this enough? Give us some feedback. If I need to zoom in, I will.
Yeah, I mean, I think your screen should be pretty big on most people's, and we should be small now. But if you guys can't see, let us know. There should be 3 different calculators on here that Alex is kind of looking through. And you know, again, Alex, that last point I made about knowing a number based off of the gap, that's called the spread, right? The spread in a deal, we often call it the spread or the meat on the bone, right?
Yeah.
How much is left on the deal. So
you could also call it gross margin. So it's like, what's the margin that we're getting? But it could be tomato. You're basically saying how much between the overall prices that we think we can get for the property. That might be 750, 800 to like what it's being advertised at. You just a kind of quick and dirty back of the napkin type of analysis to know, hey, but if you know the area goes for like 500 and these guys are pitching a deal at 450 and it needs a rehab, like you're really far off. But if you know the area goes for 500 and these guys are pitching a deal at 350, there's some spread there. It just depends how heavy the rehab and how much money you want to make at that point. And you need to figure those 2 components out. But yeah, the more areas you know how there's spread, it just kind of, it grabs your attention. You're like, oh shoot, like I got to give this a little bit more time. This looks like it might have some spread. That's kind of the thought process. Yeah.
So Alex, quickly review on the base case, because that's where we usually start. Is we start in the middle column and work on our base case, and then we work, you know, left and right from there. But the dark yellow, those are the colors that we're typically going to be changing and editing, right?
Yeah. So on this particular deal, and I gave you guys a calculator so you guys can use it. I know a lot of you are, but for some of you new people, we give away this free calculator on our Facebook group. So if you guys want to join that, let us know. Well, you know, you can join the group and it's in the file section. And then we also have a video on how to use it as well. But we put in the purchase price here, which is $575. It's not going to change the numbers because it was already there. I see a projected ARV of 800,000 based on, you know, me running the comp, which we're going to do right now. We didn't get inside the property, so we had to use the formula. And on this size property, we're typically going to spend 60, 70,000. I just changed the number from 70, 60 because we've already walked in front of the property and seen a couple things that we might not need to have to replace that are higher ticket items like the roof and then also the windows. So a couple of things where we're not going to have to spend extra money on. So we put 60. 180 days affects the amount of interest because every day that you're holding the property, guys, remember that you're paying interest on the property by form of payment. So currently my hard money lender is offering 7.75 interest rate. So if we look at this number here for holding the property for 180 days, which is 6 months, it's going to cost me in payments to the hard money lender $17,756. So if you divide that number by 6, you get your mortgage payment. And then also we're paying them 1.5 points for the money as a fee. So that's 5,520. So that's just the money cost alone, right? 17 plus the 5, plus whatever closing costs here. That's a little bit high, but plus the closing costs. So when I go to close escrow, I kind of know what my numbers are on how much money I'm going to be paying for the money, and then what my payments and all that are going to be. So that's just a couple of things there. What else? Oh, and then this is also an important factor, you guys. We're always considering how much cash it's going to take to do the deal to how much money we're going to potentially make. So basically this number, how much total investment to how much we're going to make, is a very important number in the way I look at deals, because I don't want to use $180,000 of my money or anybody else's money if we're only going to make like, let's just say we're going to make 750 on this deal. Like we're going to use like almost 200 grand and we're going to make like barely 50 grand. That's really not that appealing to me. So we're typically shooting for at least a 30% cash return, a return annualized investment, because then we could just find another deal that's going to be a better ROI than, you know, just buying deals just to buy deals. Okay, yeah, sure, I would love to make 50,000 on a deal, but if it's going to take 4, 5, 6 months and 200 G's, well, or 180,000, well, why am I going to do that? It's not really the best use of my money or my partner's money. So anyways, am I missing anything, Will? You want to add anything?
No, I mean, that's like you said, like when we go into these battles, when we go into these arguments, when we go into these deal prove it or not, whatever you want to call it, the deal showdown, you know, those are typically the big numbers that we're looking at. Is how long are we going to need to hold this property? What's the total cash investment? And that includes your down payment and that 60K out of pocket rehab, if you're paying that, what's the total cash that we need to bring to the table? And, those are really the big things that can kind of affect a deal positively or negatively.
Yeah, because what we're looking for is looking to use the least amount of cash for the most amount of investment. That's just the bottom line. That's why we like other lower dollar price points too, where we can buy a house for 200, 20% down is 40,000 plus like a 40,000 rehab. We're only using 80 grand. If we can make 40 grand on that, shoot, we're using 80 grand to make 40. I mean, that's cool, but we don't want to use 150 to make 40. Like, I mean, it's just not, again, not the best return on our investment. We'd rather wait around for a better deal.
Now, Alex, the most deals that we enjoy the most are going to be the ones that have the high upside. So let's take a look now from the base case over at the best case, because when we run this calculator, typically what we do is we start at that base case, and then we're going to dive over to the best and the worst case from here. And typically you prefer these deals that have some upside to it, right?
Yes, I do. But I will say this, I typically look at the worst case next, and then I look at the best case.
So we can go best or worst, whichever way. Yeah,
Let's go worst case, because I always say, again, what's the worst case? I'm buying it for 575. This thing actually could go, no, if it goes over budget, I don't know, say 75,000. I think that was a little bit generous. 75,000, and then it also takes longer to sell for whatever reason, because of maybe the rehab took longer to do. And then I have to look in the comps, like ugly houses are going for low sevens in this area at this size, square footage, and dimensions. So that's the worst for me. And then I also, worsen up the interest rate. I also maybe put a little bit higher points than what I think I get a base case. And so that we're just kind of like being a little bit more conservative in every angle possible here, but being realistic. You don't want to be too pessimistic. You're like, oh shoot. Like, you want to be like, what do you really feel is the worst case scenario? And for us, we typically are okay with breaking even, maybe making 10 grand. If it's a really high upside potential, which we'll talk about, then maybe we're losing 10 grand, 15 grand, or worst case. I'm okay with, I've lost money on deals before, not under my own company, working for my other partners, but they had cheaper money and they were buying a lot more volume. So I saw some losers. And so I just would like the worst case scenario, break even. This looks like at worst case scenario, we tie up a bunch of money, 200 grand, 195, and then we only make 27,000, which, wouldn't be the end of the day, end of the world, but it certainly would, think about that. We do all this work, and then for 4 or 5 or 7, 8 months, and then we only make 27 grand and use that much capital. That would be, kind of worst case, right? And then best case is what you're thinking about. It's like, man, if everything goes right, how much money can I make? And not being too optimistic, but being like, hey, the market's in my favor. We do a good job of rehabbing this thing. We design it really nice. It's a little bit of a mid-level property. It's not like it's high end, but it's not also an entry-level house either. So you could have, people that are buying this type of house have more resources, have more down payment, have more capital, all that. So someone could really fall in love with the property and then, pay another 50 grand for it. It's happening in the market. People are paying 100,000 or more over asking. So, that's what I see as upside. And you see, this could make 61%, $148,000. I mean, that would
let's look at some of these comps real quick, just so that people can get an idea. And before you do that, Alex, do you mind just clicking on the purchase price? Because sometimes, guys, we don't already know the purchase price. So sometimes that purchase price will differ in best, base, and worst. So you could also say, what if worst case scenario, the wholesaler came back to you last minute, Alex, and said, hey, 575 isn't going to work. I need 585 now. Then you would be able to put, okay, 585 would be my worst case scenario. And what if he calls me back and says, hey, we can actually get it at 565? That could then become your best case if you needed to do that. So those are just, again, some small ways that those numbers can change. But let's take a look at some of these comps, Alex, just so we can get an idea of where, the 750 entry level kind of ugly homes that you mentioned we're going for up to that 850 range.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing my MLS screen?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay. So again, I know this area extremely well. I grew up in this area, like 10 minutes away. I still have a place in Encino in the San Fernando Valley, right by this, 10 minutes away. And my family is very close. So I know this neighborhood very well. And so I'm going to put 3/4 of a mile away, 180 days. I want to have the same zip code because when you cross zip codes over, it could change the value dramatically, because that zip code might have a higher end area in that zip code. So sometimes I'm a little bit more specific, trying to get a very targeted. Sometimes I'm not gonna put the zip code, but in this case I will. See what else? It's a 1,600 square foot house, so I don't want to compare it to a 1,000 square foot house because that's too far of a difference. But I also don't want to compare it to too big of a house either. So usually we do like 15% from the square footage, but easy one, it was just like 200, 225 square feet. So I'd say I'd compare it to something that's 1375 up until 18, like 18.
And you're getting those numbers from how an appraiser would go about this, right? So you're just trying to say, hey, an appraiser would compare this to something, you know, this distance before and after. So I'm going to try and compare it to something there as well.
Yeah, and you don't want to be too rigid, but see, look, I'm sorry, it didn't hit the address here. So let me 7074 Koji. So okay, results. Okay, so there's 30. So that's too many. So I want to look through 30 comps. So then I'll just shorten like the distance, and that could be half a mile. Okay, there's 17 comps within a half a mile that fit those parameters. And so I use this screen quite a lot. It's super helpful. I know there's other ways to comp property out, but call it just my bias or call it just, you know, my experience. But this has been one of the most valuable screens to look at because you could see the days on market and see the averages for the ones being sold. You could see these arrows and hey, these are all going over asking price. That's why it indicates that it went higher than the asking price. You know, the square footages of the property and everything lined up right next to each other. Really helps me to see which comps I really want to look at. And so I noticed there is a couple of actives and we'll get to those, but the very most important to me are the comps that are sold that are within that. So we look at this one here, 820, we'll look at the high one. And we drove by this property, one of my team members and I, when I was in LA, and we noticed that, you know, it was in a cul-de-sac, so it was a little bit superior to our neighborhood. But it was, as you can tell with this property, can you see the pictures?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so it's a nice property, but it's clean, but it's not remodeled. We're not going to look like this. We're going to look far superior to this. But in what ways? It does have that kind of a little open layout. But again, it looks like it's upgraded in some ways, but other ways it's just dated and it's just a nice clean home. And it is a cul-de-sac. So it is, if you see here, it's this property here. So it's at the end of the cul-de-sac, but it's right next to a wash. So that's what we're doing constantly when we're evaluating the deals. It's like the pros, the cons. It's like it's never ending until you really kind of, because it is an art to evaluating deals, but it's also a science. It's a little bit of both.
Now, Alex, if I don't have MLS, we can find these same comps on Redfin, on Zillow, just by, you know, putting in the same parameters, right? You use the same filter tab that you did, and you put in your filter, and you use that square footage gap. You can use the lot size gap and all those different parameters. So, Reina, if you know, you're you know, stuck without the MLS, that doesn't stop you from comping. You know, you just would use Redfin or Zillow to do that. So keep going on the comps here, Alex. What else are we looking at?
Yeah, so now I look at the descriptions because sometimes they might say there's a bonus room in the back or something that made the property sell for a much higher that you didn't see in the pictures. So you're going very granular. I mean, you're thinking about buying a property and putting money on the line. Well, it makes sense to me now to drive the comps if you can, or have someone in your team do it, but then also go through them, you know, picture by picture, kind of a really, you know, like a forensic audit. Like, what are these comps? Why did this house really sell for this price in this neighborhood? And so I don't see anything that jumps out at me, but I'm just letting you guys know my experience. There is sometimes things that are in the verbiage that are not in the pictures, or vice versa. It's in you know, the pictures, but it's not in the verbiage. It's like, you know, you never know. So just make sure you're doing a thorough job of looking at the comps, that you're looking to determine your after repair value. Now we go over to this other one. Also, simultaneously, I'm looking at how far from the property it is. It says right here, from the distance of the property is this much. Now you might have to do it on Redfin a little differently, but it's still relevant, like how far the property is, because the closer, the better the comp, the more likely you are to get that same ARV, because things can dramatically change by street in some neighborhoods. Okay.
Yeah, block by block in LA, right?
Yeah, and then we get this one, and we look at this one, we're like, damn, this one was listed for 719, sold for 75. It was on market for 17 days. What does this house look like? Again, you got an updated kitchen, but nothing too crazy. You've got some dated floors over here, So it looks like they did some remodeling, did some paint. These are old cabinet drawers or doors. You can tell that it's clean. This is updated. So they did some updating, whether it was to sell the property or throughout the time they lived in there, but it's not like, see, it looks like they have some office desks. They're still kind of living there, but they just kind of cleaned it up to sell it. The outside has not been painted, but it looks like it's in great shape. So, this property sold for $785. And again, we're very similar square footage, very similar specs, very similar neighborhood, but we're going to be far superior in condition. So, all these things considered, just on those two comps alone, I'm already in my mind starting to formulate like an ARV, but right now I'm explaining to you guys what I'm thinking. So we'll go to this one. Now we go to this one, 780. It was 0 days on market, nothing on the description, only one picture, but it's pretty clean. So it could have been just like a off-market deal and they just uploaded for comp purposes only. But it does look like it was probably, in pretty good shape inside too. We just don't know, but it did sell for 780. And it is a little bit bigger and it is a 4th bedroom. So that one is okay. We kind of figuring that out, but it sold for 780. So we know we're still kind of in the high 7s, low 8s. 775. This one was also another strong comp, but we only had 2 pictures to go off of. Can you see the pics?
Yes, sir. There's just the 2, the gate and the gate on both.
Yeah, we drove by this property. It has a 2,000 square foot less lot size than us, and that that's significant, especially when people like to own houses in the San Fernando Valley because it's the suburbs, bigger lot sizes. This 5,500 is a little bit smaller for the valley. It does have solar panels when we went through that, so we ran through all that, but it did sell, and it's a 4th bedroom for 775. So these are kind of like the main comps we looked at. We looked at some more here. But all these other like lower comps had something far inferior. Like, look, this is a fixer going for 650. Yeah, we're buying our thing for 575. Again, we have enough spread from what we can tell. Let's see here. So yeah, those are kind of.
And Alex, just one more question coming in from Raina here that I think really will speak, to everybody in the room. You had 30 comps on there earlier and you shaved it down to 17, right? So what's that like go-to number that you're looking for? Like, you need to have at least a couple good comps, but what we're really looking for is that apple to apple comp, right? Your exit comp.
The most likely one, or an overview of the whole neighborhood, and then just a solid read on it, because if you've driven the comps, you've looked at the property yourself, and you've also ran the comps, either before and after, because sometimes we run them before. I just don't like to do too much work if we're really far off. But once we're pretty close on negotiation, then yeah, we have to really start looking at it with a microscope, and like, where do we really feel confident that for sure we're gonna hit that number, and then where do we feel that'll be worst case based off all this data, and then where do we think like maybe we might have some upside with it, and that's where we come up with these numbers. And they're not exact. It is a very well educated guess. You're guessing on the future value of a property. Nobody knows the future, but based on what's trending and inventory, all that other stuff. And then I talked to my broker that's selling 5 properties a month at least, and one of them being ours, or 2 of them being ours. He has a read on the market from the retail standpoint, and the appetite and the psychology going on. So there's multiple data points that you're figuring out. I typically don't like to buy houses over 450, but in this case, when we can make a 6-figure profit on a deal, we can't ignore that potential, especially if we know the area well. We have all these, what you call in lending is called compensating factors. Oh wait, it's occupied, but then we're getting this price. Okay, it's this price, it's this rehab, but we're getting this price, like compensating factors. It's a thinner deal, but I know this area really well, and then there's a very light rehab on this property, verified by my contractor. So all these things help you weigh and make a better decision, but nobody knows the future either. Yeah.
And Allison's asking about the mild renovations that we're seeing in some of these houses, and how does that affect how much money we decide to invest in our flip? So, for us, we never try to break the mold, and that's why we use the comps. So if the comps have granite countertops, then we have to match with granite countertops. If the comps have, a 4th or 5th bedroom, then we would need to add a bedroom into our space. So that's what we're always looking for, is that apple to apple. Alex calls it the most likeliest exit comp. Like, what would ours be most likely in comparison to what's out there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So any more questions about that deal? And we go back to the flip calculator here, and then that's where we came up with these numbers to be able to justify buying it for $575. And we're paying a $40,000 wholesale fee. So I have no problem with paying wholesale fees as long as my numbers work. And then they do work in this case, and that's why we're buying the property on Friday.
Now, Alex, with this particular deal, is there anything, put aside for tenants?
Yeah, so I don't have it here, but it actually should be here. But we've allocated 10,000 for relocation of tenants, and we typically would put it here. It does change the ROI and whatnot, but again, it's still close enough to that 30 mark that we wanted to be at. But yeah, we typically put it here in this section, and that could be for tenant cash for keys. That could be for fee that
wholesaler fees, acquisition fees.
Yeah. So there's different ways you can add to this formula to get the real number of what you're really going to net. So really, we're probably closer to this if we put the 10,000 on all of them. Well, best case scenario, we can get this out for 5. Worst case scenario, we might have to actually pay this guy 20. Now that I think about it. So yeah, so even then, even worst case goes down to we pretty much almost break even. Our base case is still about $90,000 profit, close to 30%. And then
that's why we did this deal, Alex. As you mentioned, sometimes we'll take a little bit lower on the base case as long as the worst case still breaks out. But there's the high upside where you could invest $180,000 and 5 months later, be walking out with almost the same amount of money, right? So those are the high upside deals that we're kind of looking for. And if there's no other questions on this one, let's go ahead and dive into the Maui deal that you guys recently submitted an offer on.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing to add to that, and that's why we're able to raise private money lender capital for our deals, because we buy great deals and we're able to help win with you guys. So if any of you guys ever want to lend on one of these deals, this is the way I look at it. Like, hey, we're just sharing some profits. If you lend us say $50,000 and we're paying 10% or whatnot, that's $5,000. So instead of us making 80, we're making 81, and then now you're making some money on your money too, and it's secured by the property. So those opportunities do exist. We're very selective who we take money from as far as for lending, because in many respects we have to work. I only work for basically my team and my investors, and that's it. And so I'm very particular who I work for, kind of in some aspects. So if you guys are interested, let us know. Send us a DM, because we always have opportunities for you to make more money on your money. But yeah, let's go to that condo deal in Maui, right?
Yeah, let's take a look at the Maui condo. So I know this is one that you and Alex Ibarra had worked on, and obviously this is a deal that you guys got pretty close to taking down as well. So let's kind of dive into this one. I know it's obviously a little bit higher of a purchase price, and again, Maui and LA, two of the quote unquote hardest markets to buy in, right, because of price. But these are definitely still properties that are available that you have to make offers on to play the game. So tell us a little bit more about this deal, Alex, and what kind of, where you got it, where the source was, and why you kind of came about making an offer on it.
Yeah, so what happened was we've been starting to text agents in Southern California, and we've been texting agents out here on Maui, and we came across this agent that knew of this listing. I was about to list this property, and she gave it to us. She still had to list it, but it's a condo right on the golf course, incredible views. I mean, look at this thing. Can you see my pictures?
Oh yeah, we see these. I mean, you're looking out at blue water and green grass. This is beautiful.
Patio, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, like townhouse style, vaulted ceilings. Just needs an updating. Just gorgeous. I really wanted this deal, and so she sent us the opportunity. We go up there to go look at it. And funny thing is, we went to go look at it, and then we went surfing. Ward, me, and Alex Ibarra. So that was super fun. And it was just like, there was nothing intimidating to me about the rehab. It's just a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, higher end condo in Maui. And there's only 2 units per building. You know what I mean? Where the section in which the unit was in was very desirable too, because that's what happens with condos, townhouses a little bit, is that you want to be in an ideal part of the complex too sometimes, and it makes a difference. All right. So can you see my map?
Definitely was in again, like a 2-part condo that has unobstructed golf course views. That's pretty desirable, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like this one over here. Let's say this condo over here might not be as desirable as this one that's closer to the pool, the clubhouse, and all that. So this one is close to the pool. It has a great view. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. It was this one. So is this one, this end unit at the end of the complex? So you don't have any neighbors over here and over here. So it's just really, really desirable location within the community too. So we pay attention to all that, especially, I mean, you're thinking about flipping $1 million condo. So here's the video. You guys saw the pictures.
And
Yeah.
Alex, we usually start at this. You know, when we look at a deal, we usually start on the Google Maps page because we like to know what is around us. Is there a big mall nearby? And in this case, it's no, there's an ocean and a golf course nearby and no neighbors. So, you know, we're looking to see whether the area is desirable using those satellite view and street view so that you can kind of get a feel for the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, guys, I think we overlooked that. He's right. We usually are step number one is to look on Google Maps, satellite image, and make sure there's nothing in there that disqualifies the deal. So we don't go into analyzing it. And then later on, we find out it's next to some railroad tracks or some ugly commercial building and it's a higher end property that we would not do that under, and that would be a deal killer for that type of deal. And so, yeah, we usually look at Google Maps and then we start looking at the, you know, the numbers, the comps and everything else we talked about. So, you know, there's a system and a kind of an order, but we kind of didn't talk about that. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. All right. So no, this is the other one. So this is the flip deal calculator for the condo with hard money financing. We did have a partner that might be able to actually bring the cash. So I'll show you how that changes the numbers, but it just had a good spread on it. We were going to offer 965 on it. It was listed at 925. We knew it was going to go for probably a little bit more. Based on my numbers on rehabbing the other Maui deal, I know we can rehab this condo because we're not touching the exterior at all. Remember that. In this situation, we're only doing the inside. 1 kitchen, 2 bathrooms, flooring, and just decking out the inside. That, I mean, we should be able to get that done for 100. I think we could get it done for 80 or 90, but we're going to be on base case 100. These are the numbers we determined. 20% down. So it would take a lot more cash than the other deals, 300,000 to do if we had to, you know, do all the rehab out of our pocket. But look at that upside potential. It's like it's going to be pretty quick. This can be less too. We might be able to do this like in 4 months. So
quick condo turn. You know, no. You know, you're built into a wall. You're built into a shared wall, so it just makes it a little bit easier, right?
Yeah. And we go over the worst case, and we're like, okay, well maybe we pay a little bit more, and then we only get low 1.2s. This thing's going to go north of $1 million. I mean, just the size, the location. All the amenities. I mean, West Maui is one of the nicer parts of Maui. South Maui and West Maui are the nicest parts of Maui, and it's in that prime area. So we do all the numbers, and then we come up with like, okay, this one worst case, maybe we lose a couple, you know, $10,000, and then on best case, we actually could make like close to $200,000 inside of 4 months. That's like making 50 grand, you know, almost a month on this one deal. So think about that. I love stuff like that. But again, I know the market. We're getting this from a listing agent. We've already done a rehab here. So all these are data points that are helping us analyze deals and make decisions on whether to move forward on these deals or not. So I think that's important to highlight. Let me go to the comps real quick. If you go to the comps, you'll see that most of the listings are inferior in some way or very similar. And then, like, for example, this one sold 1.225 mil, and it's essentially the same kind of unit. Does also have a great view.
Updated.
It's updated.
Yep.
It's super clean. We can
but
look
it still looks a little dated. So I mean, if it's not a complete flip, right?
No, it's in really great shape. But at the end of the day, it's not like a full on flip, a full on rehab. So 1.225 on that one. Very, very similar, same building, right? And then we looked at this one, which I think this one was also in that unit. This one actually sold, is under contract to sell at 1.45. We talked to the agent. So this was a relevant comp. Like, okay, when this closes, it's also going to be a relevant comp, and it closed at 1.45. That's why we know our best case might be 1.45, because we could trick it out like this. Now this is tricked out.
But it has the same floor plan, same roof, same patio, and ours probably had the superior view, right? So if we did this same tricked out thing, then you could maybe see it going for a little bit more with the better view and less neighbors.
Yes, 1.4. So we think we can hit 1.45 on that best case, and then because of that comp, same building. And then this other one, again, same building, 1.335.
With the old plantation style curtains and blinds. So, again, this was updated at one point, but maybe still, gives you that thought that, hey, if we brought a brand new product to market, we could definitely do better than 1.335.
Yeah. And so that's it. We can't do Airbnb on it. So that wasn't an option. But so it really just is like a true flip. Something like this would only rent for, I don't know, $7,000-$8,000 a month. It just wouldn't really cash flow very well for how much cash you need to put into it. So there's that. We looked at those two deals. I think you had a deal you want to look at too, right? Or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's if you go ahead and make me host real quick here, we'll look at one more deal, guys, just so you can take a look at one. This is actually one that a couple guys on the team and myself looked at the last couple of days here. And you guys can again kind of get an idea of what this one took and why we ended up making the offer that we did, and just some of the small nuances that, again, you want to make sure that you keep an eye out for and look for when you're looking at these deals.
Damn, how do I stop sharing?
Just go down to the share screen button down at the bottom and it'll let you stop share.
Okay, there it goes. Man, sorry, I got a lot on my mind, guys. It's been
no worries. And then if you go ahead and make me host over in the participants list, I'll go ahead and jump on here and share my screen. So guys, this deal is one that was located up here in Laverne, and I will actually go ahead and use a different platform to do this with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Zillow to go ahead and look at this deal. And that way you guys can see how, if you don't have access to the MLS, you can also still look over a deal. So this is going to be Laverne, Walnut Street. Sorry about that. So this is Walnut Street in Laverne, and this is a listing here. So if you did not have access to MLS, Alex, you would be able to do this through Zillow. And this is pretty similar to a listing. So Alex has access to the description. You have the access to the days on market. It actually shows you how many people have viewed and saved the home here. And you can come down into this further area and see when the home was built, some interior details. This is in the home facts and features, down here where it'll actually show you, what you're dealing with, the lot size, and every piece of information that Alex was able to pull up on the MLS, you're able to pull up here. So you guys can see the pictures. This home has the dated bathroom, the dated look in here. It's gonna have the dated kitchen and definitely signs of needing a rehab, right? So to jump out of this, you would then hit X, and you're going to keep this address, and that Walnut Avenue is right in here. So it'll usually pull you very close to your house. So that's our listing at 550. And all we need to do to run comps is go to here and run similar data points. So usually what we do on the MLS is we'll keep the same listing open and we duplicate the screen. And that allows us to kind of, again, keep our listing open in one, so that we know we have a 1,200 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And that way, when we're running our comps, we can run our comps to square foot size. Let's do 750 to 1250. So this is now going to find those homes that are within 750 to 1250 square feet. And we're going to want to do that within a certain mile radius. We usually do 6 months on the market, 180 days, and you can use the remove boundary feature and make your own boundaries. But what we kind of found is that in this neighborhood, there really wasn't that many comps that were fitting our home. And one thing I wanted to let you guys know on here that you want to be careful of, and this is why we always use Google Maps, is this home is listed as a house for sale, right? Whereas this comp is listed as a condo for sale. But Alex, what was something that we noticed about this house when we looked at it from Google Maps?
It looked like a townhouse. Right away, I was like, man, this is not a house. And I want to check title of the property. It looked like a townhouse. I mean, don't sell me this, because sometimes agents advertise something as duplex, but on title it's still a single family residence. It's just been converted illegally. So that's kind of what I thought. And he's like, no, we looked on title. I was like, damn, this is a single family. But I don't care what you call it, it doesn't feel like that when you live in a property like that. So you have to adjust the after repair value for a property like that, because it's never going to feel like a single family residence. It's just not.
Just like in the Maui deal, where that superior location can raise your value because of this inferior situation. Really, when you look at this, you see this address right here on the ground, you see this one, whose house is this down here? Okay, this is actually a couple more addresses down here on the ground and 2 more doors. So it looks like all 6 of these units here on this street are actually all sharing the same roof. And therefore this plays and feels more like a townhome, right?
Yeah, you're in the backyard, you call your boys over to have a little barbecue. They're like, oh yeah, nice townhouse, bro. And then
So here you are, and you look at the backyards, and yeah, your neighbors, in the upstairs bedrooms are looking right over into your backyard.
Yeah.
So that's again something, and you notice here in the backyard as well that all of the driveways are connected, and they do have that shared driveway back there. So although the home says it's listed as a house for sale, we would almost want to go to the home type, and we would want to get rid of houses, and we would want to kind of keep that as a condo or as a townhome, just because really that isn't fitting our comp, because ours is more like that. And so when we look on here,
or what you can do is you can run the comps on like an ARV on like the same square footage as a townhouse. Like, is there a flip, something like that? What was the highest sold comp for that type of product, and what's that for a house? And it's going to be kind of in between, because it isn't a townhouse really, and it's not really a house, or it doesn't feel like a house, so you can't give it that same ARV. So it's really tricky. But in something like this, it's an oddball property, and I would be more conservative than a regular single family house that clearly does look and feel like a house.
And again, calling the agent is one of the biggest things that you can do, because this property is listed at $549. But what we found out when we called the agent is that we could actually get this property as low as $460. So again, that's pretty wild to know that you could get that at $460. So we started putting in here on our calculator, guys, the worst case would be $460. What if we could negotiate down a little bit from there? And that became our base case at $450. And again, on our best case over here, we could even put it down as low as $440. So when we were looking at this deal, we initially looked at these kind of numbers, 60 being our worst case scenario. We realistically, once we saw the property, lowered that down to about 50, and our base case down to about 40. And our best case was we could probably rehab this house at about $35,000. And, just looking at it, it's a small, 1,200 square foot home. It's got the shared walls already. So you would need to redo the kitchen and the bathroom, some paint and flooring throughout. And so we kind of, really came down to determine that this could go as low as, $35,000. But once we went and viewed the property and we reassessed, we realized, hey, you know what, that 650 number, that's actually going to be a little bit high. And, 550 might be our best number. And our best, coming to that meant that our base case was actually going to be, what if we could sell this thing for 525? And then the worst case was, well, realistically, what if we could only sell it for 500,000? And based on these kind of calculations, we determined that, we were going to pass on this particular deal because of its oddball nature, and it's one of a kind of scenario. The other reason, being and why we like to look at this layers and the satellite images, when you look at this property, it's actually located in an area directly adjacent to the Fairplex and an airport. And when we were out visiting the property, something that we had missed on initial inspection was right behind us is a train track. So these are all just kind of what we call deal killers, and why we look at the house in person, why we look at the house on these aerial views. You'll notice, hey, is this whole thing our house? And no, you notice it actually has the 6 different addresses when you look on here. So those are all reasons why we kind of use these different tools. And sometimes we'll even pull up Google Earth, right, Alex? If it's, hey, what's going on in this garage here? What is this back unit or these storage sheds? A Google Earth, or simply just pulling that guy out onto the street, can give you those kind of different vantage points so that you can get those data points for these numbers.
Yeah, but I don't typically analyze deals like this until I'm already, we're ready to make an offer, or we're, pursuing the deal. I don't want people to just like analyze deals just to analyze deals. I mean, yeah, you got to get better at it, but you're doing it so that way you could make a calculated, a well-crafted offer.
So, those were a couple of deals that we kind of wanted to share with you guys, and I think we're going to start doing this more on a monthly basis, so that we can, again, this is something that Alex and I do regularly, but we want to make sure that you guys, if you are reviewing deals, if you are using the calculator, which again it's in the Facebook group for anybody who wants to use that, you can download that for free in there. But we just want to make sure that you guys know how to do it and why Alex is doing it on a regular basis.
I have a question for you, Will, because
Yes,
now your numbers are so close to my numbers, are pretty much almost identical. There's, there's still nuances, there's still stuff that come up that you just haven't experienced yet. But how long did it take you to feel like you got good at analyzing deals, or how many deals?
Probably 6, 7, 8 months of doing, like you said, 100 deals a month, 10 deals a week, and this is deals that you're reviewing and making an offer on, because, if you're just reviewing, like you said, Alex, just reviewing deals to review deals, that's not going to get you anywhere. Any deal that we review, that we spend 10 to 15 minutes on as a team, it's at least getting an offer submitted. It might be a lowball offer. It might be hey, this is our best case scenario offer, but we're at least submitting an offer on that. So, I think that's what's gotten me to this comfort level is when you submit those offers, you have those conversations with the agents, deals are the lifeblood of opportunities and vice versa. And so it all really kind of comes, full circle, that when you're reviewing deals consistently, you're going to start getting better and better at the numbers. And we joked about this on this deal, Alex, when we had you jump on the call and look at it with us to kind of verify everything that we had kind of found and seen about the property, and, verify the townhome, what the difference was in price. We all joked, we were like, man, we were $5K off on our numbers. And that was a kind of a team effort that we were able to come to. So it just comes with repetition.
You don't even need me anymore, bro. I'm going to go to the beach.
Head out to the beach, go swim with some turtles, man. We'll call you when we need you, right?
No, I'm just curious because, I know it took me some time, but it is something, once you put in those reps, once you look at this house, you just start to see some patterns. And one more point I want to make is, the better you get at analyzing deals, the better you can, present your offers to these agents and tell them, hey, my offer is based off of these numbers and these facts. Please tell me if I'm wrong, or try to correct me or something, because I hope I'm wrong. But these are numbers. I have no problem talking to agents about my numbers, because they're based off of logic and a lot of research, and not just like I'm not pulling a number out of my ass. Like, it's a real number because of X, Y, Z.
And I'll double down on that, because this is the text conversation with the agent, and I sent him my calculator, and I just said, hey man, look, like, I can't dive into this deal because, not because I don't like you, not because I didn't drive out there and take a look at the property with you, not because of anything else, but just because, hey, the numbers, it says this is what I can pay for this house. This is what this house is worth on paper.
We got
and
Jay
Alex, you always mention this.
Everybody say hi to Jay. What's up, Jay?
Alex.
Aloha, everyone. Miss you guys.
What's up, Jay? Alex, you mentioned this earlier, right? We don't pay for future profits, right? We pay.
Yeah, my old mentor used to say that, like, hey, I'm sorry, Mr. Agent, I'm sorry, Mr. Homeowner, like, I can't pay you for future value. like it just doesn't work that way.
I wish I could pay you for what it's going to be worth, but just right now, in the current condition of the house, this is where we're kind of at, and where we would need to be at to take down the deal. And so I love that you said that, Alex, because you have to be comfortable, walking down an offer and explaining your terms and your number and your position, and why you got to where you got to, right?
Yep. We got some studs in the building. What's up, everybody? Any questions? We got 5 more minutes, 6 more minutes to cover some ground.
Guys, any questions on the deal calculator that we were just kind of going over? I know we had some great questions from Kevin and Allison.
I have a question for one. I have our question for one of our attendees, Camo High. DJ Camo High in his DJ booth. What's working for you guys right now? What's your biggest challenges? Come on, what do you want to share? Because I know you guys are taking massive action. So happy to see your guys' growth.
Right on, man. I appreciate it. I'm actually sick right now. I am a COVID person. But yeah, we're still jamming. That's like one of the beauties of everything is I can talk to sellers in a room by myself. So we're good. We're what's working? Really, we really concentrated on starting to build our team out. And that seems to be working really well. We just hired a project manager. We currently have 6 flips going on right now here on Oahu. And that was like one of the biggest things was just having the right people in the right places. So I can continue trying to find deals and all the projects are running smoothly. So that's something that is working in our business. I think the biggest struggle is finding really good contractors. That's like our biggest struggle right now. We have good deal flow. We're locking up deals at the right price, but we don't have enough good work to work on those deals. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But
awesome.
Dude, so good to see all you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, hope you get well soon. Let me know when some of those properties are done and staged so I can go stay there. When I go to Oahu, I always say that. But what's up, everybody? Who else got some wins or some challenges to share? Oh, we got Edward. He's always vocal. My man.
What's up, guys? So a few things. I have a question, actually. Alex, have you purchased through the court confirmation on probate before?
Yes.
So my question is there's a house that I'm actually gonna go bid on in a week. Still gonna go see the property. I've done my numbers. I actually even went over on the rookie call with Brian, the Pineda rookie call. So we've done the homework. My question is, are there anything besides the overbid or the fact that you're not guaranteed that number yet that I should be prepared for entering the court?
Yeah. So, do you know how much the overbid can be? You know that.
Yes, I have the final dollar amount. Yeah.
Okay. So just so the attendees know, in Southern California and maybe perhaps other parts of the country, when you're going to bid on a property that's going to that's in probate that needs court confirmation, you can get the offer accepted after it hits the MLS, but then somebody can overbid you, or you could be that person overbidding that one in court when it goes for that confirmation. So that's the question, right? So you're asking me, rephrase the question, what you can do to help yourself out.
Basically just wants to know like any other tips that he needs to be aware of before he walks into that courtroom, like what's going to happen, what does he need to know, and what are his biggest concerns? Yeah, you got to pay real close attention because that shit moves kind of fast. Like they're going through this court case, so you got to keep if you miss it, you're not going to be able to overbid. So yeah, that's one. Number two, a lot of them, it's kind of hit or miss. Like if you go to a lot of those, you can get them because going through those extra hoops to be ready to overbid is not something most investors want to do or will do. So, a lot of investors are lazy. But also I want to say that a lot of it is before, because if you get the offer accepted, you have to get it accepted at a high enough price to kind of deter an overbidder, but not high enough where it doesn't work for your numbers. So just, I guess, on tips on before, it goes to overbid and you're making offers on properties that are listed, probate, that need a court confirmation, and you're going to be working with that agent, just try to craft the offer maybe a little higher than what you think, just so that way, again, because then if it's too low, the overbid number is going to be really low, and it's going to promote a lot of overbidders potentially. So just kind of that tip or trick. And,
yes, so this is through an auction company that I've actually purchased a commercial property through with before. They're pretty well known one from what I know in Southern California. Kennedy Wilson. Correct.
Kennedy Wilson. Yeah. You're fine. There'll be some competition, but for me, I found that those are kind of like lower percentage shots. I hope it wins. It works for you, but there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through, and then they can also qualify for a lot of times for traditional financing, and then those people that know about that bid those up to like retail prices. So it does. What I don't like about it is that a lot of stars have to line for you to get that deal. Like you have to get the offer accepted. First it has to hit the MLS, and then you have to go and do and hope that nobody overbids. And then and all these other kind of extras that you might not have in other type of acquisitions channels. So, but it is a good if you sniper out a deal and for some reason not a lot of people are on that overbid and it's kind of hit or miss. But I wish you luck. I think you're on the right track.
Appreciate it. And also shout out to the whole creative side of this is so just as I was on the phone during this call with another agent was just because the seller has a specific reason they are they want a certain term in place doesn't mean it's the end all be all. I have a seller I'm working with, I'm listing their home. They said they don't want any repairs or credits requested, none. So because the fear is that their neighbors spent $20,000 on requests for repairs. Solution was have a middle ground that they're comfortable with, and now we're looking to open escrow today. So get creative with real estate. If anyone needs help with that, and Alex is too busy, or traveling, and reach out to me. I'd love to help out with anyone in SoCal, especially. Yeah. So like I said, I'm here to help out.
Awesome. Thank you, Edward. Anybody else, guys, before we sign off? Shout out to Hector, everybody else that's on the call. Shout out.
As I know, we had one last kind of announcement. Alex and I are going to be going to a couple of masterminds coming up here. So we'll definitely be, dropping some posts in the Facebook group, just giving you guys, again, kind of a recap of what we learned at those. So Alex, coming up, you're heading down to Cancun for one, right?
Yeah, so I'll be in Cancun for the best ever, I forget the name, I'm sorry, TAB Retreat, tabretreat.com. So week, it's a higher level mastermind, and we're gonna be there in Cancun, all-inclusive resort. If anybody's interested in going, let us know. It is something that Ryan Pineda is gonna be speaking at, and so he's the one that kind of promoted it, and but there's gonna be a lot of big names there, Max Maxwell, who else, another big name out there? Carlos Reyes, Terry Thayer, just some huge names. And the way I look at, let me say this, guys, the way I look at masterminds is like I look at deals. I'm spending this $4,000. What is the upside potential with that 4,000? Like, can that 4,000 make me 4x, 5x, like another deal a year by going and being around these people, knowing them and learning from them? I think it can. So that's why I look at masterminds, like how much upside potential. Now I can't attend all of them, nor should you guys. But what I'm saying is like, what's the upside compared to, okay, I mean, $4,000, maybe many of you can't afford that, but maybe you can afford 500 for something. It's just like you're constantly having to invest and learning what's working, what's happening, and being around people that are doing what's working, and having success. And then the other one we're going to is the third quarter mastermind for Ryan Pineda. And that one is being Vegas, and that one he's actually opening to the public. So if you guys want to go there, let us know too. And then finally, we're planning on keeping this property here in Maui. And if we keep it, you better fucking believe that I'm gonna be having events at my Maui mastermind here in Hawaii. So get ready for that once we decide on how to be able to keep this property, because we're gonna have some sick, amazing events and enjoy Maui to the fullest. But my own tribe, my own people that want to come, hang out with me and learn and spend some time in Hawaii. Let's go.
So yeah, obviously, you guys will share, our takeaways from those masterminds that we're going to be going to, and you guys will get a post from Alex in the Facebook group, kind of letting you guys know his biggest takeaways. We both always take notes when we go to these things, and that's that upside potential. Like, are you going to get that one piece of information that makes that piece of your business click? And I do believe when Alex goes to these webinars, or to these masterminds, you're going to get it. And hopefully you guys are getting the same thing from these webinars. So we'll see you guys next week. I think we're going to have a special guest. We'll go ahead and announce that probably tomorrow or the next day in the Facebook group. But a quick hint, we're going to be talking about ADUs. So accessory dwelling units. It's a big topic out here in Los Angeles, all over California. So make sure you guys tune in and keep in touch at the Facebook group if you guys need anything between now and then.
Let's go.
Thanks for your time, Alex. Mahalo, everybody. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Take care. Good seeing you all. Aloha.